And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. It is Oxide Nova here, commentating for the second pre-season race here in Miami. If you guys weren't here last week, I actually do have to make an apology because I was supposed to be commentating last week, but something came up. I actually had to go to the British Grand Prix, so I do apologise for that. But we are here. We are back. New game, new season, new dreams to be made, and here we are in the lovely Miami sunshine. As we can see here, it is completely dry, completely warm, as we see one of the Ferraris already going out. Let's get all the things up here. But yes, I wanted to say, feel free to comment in the section below who we think is going to do well today. Of course, we've got some really fast drivers in the lobby today. Of course, QVR Verstappen, a lot of the QVR guys, also NSX Montana as well. Let's see who can do the best here in this pre-season race. Of course, everybody doesn't know what league they will be in so far. Will it be Division 1 down to Division 4? But of course, this is a great way of seeing who will have the best go of it. So, as we follow on board with this Red Bull here, NSX Spine. One thing I will say about this track, about this game, I think everybody is enjoying so far the freshness of the handling on here. What I want to see is some people really push the car to its limits. Of course, this track, as we know from F122, really hard traction zones, really hard to push the car as quickly as possible. We will see from this as we continue through who's out first on track. So it looks like at the moment it is the Ferrari of QVR Killer. Let's see what he can do as we go through his outlap here. Of course, let's not forget as well, track limits are on strict, so it's going to be tough for the drivers, especially going up to that chicane section as the number 40 Ferrari goes through there onto the back straight. Of course, let's see. Just making sure everyone can hear me there, and you can indeed, which is good, fantastic. Okay, so, like I say, riding on board now with QVRK, let's see what he can do. We'll ride on board with him for his lap, and we'll hide the interface to see what he can do. So let's have a bit of a ride on board now with QVRK. He starts his lap now, opens his DRS in just a second. It's quite a short DRS straight going into turn 1, but nevertheless you can still gain quite a lot of time from it. Does he extend the track quite a bit? No, he stays to the inside of the curb, down into third gear. Of course, very easy to lock up your tyres. Now this is a terrible traction zone. As you can see, only there's half throttle through there, and this bit here as well, very hard to keep on top of, but he keeps it tucked to the right hand side as we flick through the quick S sections. Now, of course, in the Ferrari, in real life in 2023, Charles Leclerc came a cropper here in Q3. Let's see if he can keep it on track. Yes, he can. Very easy to invalidate your lap time here going wide as he gets onto that sausage curl on the right hand side, but he flicks it through now up to this straight. That isn't actually very much of a straight, but of course it's fully flat out in these cars. Open your DRS now. Really, if you want to keep it tucked to the left hand side as he is doing now, you do gain a little bit of time there, but obviously you have to extend the track to the right hand side now to get the best run through this little tight, twisty Mickey Mouse section here. Nice lead onto the apex there. Will he cut the corner a little bit? No, he does not. He decides to keep it a bit wider. Quite a hard traction point here. Full throttle through there as he breaks into the toughest part of the track. You have to cut this at a perfect time. Obviously, he loses the rear end ever so slightly there. You can just see him, but he tucks it down to the inside, hits that curve perfectly as we go onto the back straight now. Obviously, this is going to be one of the places where we see, I think, the main overtaking spot going into the end part of the race with people on different tyres, obviously in the slipstream. This is the crucial braking section. Your lap could be made or broken here. Let's see what he does. He breaks it into there. He's going to go into third, second gear, keeps it in second. Very tight traction zone here, keeps it nice and wide, but he gets the traction well. As he comes across the line, of course, he will be looking for a time that could beat everybody else. He gets the DRS open, and it's 27.5. Not too bad so far for himself. Let's see what everyone else can do. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3. I believe that's one of the cars just slowing down. Who else is on a lap here? So it looks like QVR Verstappen is also on a lap. Let's see what he can do. As we see NSX Montana instantly with a 26.5 going through, and he is obviously going to be in the fight for pole position. So let's see what the rest of the guys can do. Got a few 26s being pumped in there as well, of course. We've got QVR Campbell only 300ths off in the system. McLaren, let's see what QVR Verstappen does. I know he's actually invalidated time. Let's see what it would have been anyway. It looks like it would have been a 26.6, so he's definitely in the fight for pole position. Let's see what everyone else can do. Right on board here, Sweet Crown 19. Let's see what he can do as well. Into the final corner now. Again, like I say, very tight corner to get right. You have to make sure you don't lock up that front tyre. Very easy to do. But he gets it around nice and easily. Nice on the traction as well. And we've got another yellow flag in sector 1. And oh, the 5-place grip on it. Collision with NSX Connor for Marty there. Not sure what happened there, but either way, sweet crown in the Red Bull, 26.9. Not too bad a time for him there as well. We've got quite a few people to still do laps, of course. QBR, Verstappen as well. Let's see what everyone else can do going through. QBR Dylan. He's on a lap as well. Let's see what he can. I mean, he's already done one lap on those tyres, so he must have obviously invalidated. But let's chuck it through on this Alpine anyway. Let's see what he can do. I mean, it looks to me, obviously, he's in conservation mode there, so I don't believe he'll be on much of a push lap here. No, he's definitely not. Times are not good enough. So let's see who else we have coming through. Yeah, he doesn't look to be on a lap either. Rocco's still in the pits. QBR Nathan, now he's on a lap. Let's see what he can do. Coming up across the line now. Will he be able to mix it with the top guys? He goes across the line now. Not too bad. 26.6, a 10th off pole position. There's definitely quite a few people in the fight here today for that pole position time. Please, 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 though, let me know in the comments what you guys think of who will be on pole position and what the time will be going through now. I mean, I'm sure you guys know as well, obviously, Miami, it's one of them tracks, isn't it? Obviously, it's a street circuit mixed with a normal circuit. Obviously, it's a bit of a pick and mix, really, around the Hard Rock Stadium. But I think they've done the best that they can do. Obviously, the racing first year wasn't the best. This year, not too bad, of course. It was helped by Max being a bit out of action. But obviously, here on F123, the racing will be much better than in real life. I think we'll have a bit more of a fight for the win. So let's see who else is on a lap here. Got Luke on a lap here as well, so let's see what he can do. Up through. No, I think he's actually on a cooldown lap now. Tell a lie, I do apologise, but I think he's on a cooldown lap. Let's see what else and who else is on a lap now. So it looks like QBR Gary, he's definitely on a lap now. He's pushing, you can tell just from the way the car is moving around in the corners. As you can see, tight traction zone there for himself, but he's pushing it hard, and it looks like he's doing everything he can now to get some good times. Going 29.5 in the first sector, not too bad at all, as he flicks open the DRS now, going through to the end of the first sector, into the second sector now. At the end of this straight, this comes the hardest part of the track. Let's ride on board with him now, see what he can do. Keeps it nice and tight to apex, not too shabby at all. Cuts over the right hand side curb there, which I think gains you a little bit of time. Is he going to be able to full throttle this? But yes, he is. How much of this corner is going to be able to cut? Oh, quite a lot there. Really well done, really well controlled. Is he going to keep it nice and tight to the curb? Yes, he does. Early on the power here in second gear. Flicks through all the gears now. Let's see what he can do. It's a purple middle sector for Gary as he flicks open the DRS now. Of course, this is going to be, like I said, the biggest place for overtaking during the race, but in qualifying, of course, it's going to be massive, the DRS that he gets through there. Into the final corner now. The number 3 on the Alpha Tauri, which we know will be returning in real life at the Hungarian Grand Prix with Daniel Ricciardo. Can QBR Gary come across the line now and get a good time, go toward pole position? It looks like it's going to be a close one, and he does. He gets a 26.4, great lap from QBR Gary, and he is on pole position now. And let's see what he can do about that. Is anybody else on lap for now? It doesn't look like they are. See what Killer can do here. Is he coming into the pits? I'm not sure. He might be starting his lap, actually. He is starting his lap, so let's ride on board with QVR Killer here. What I will do for you guys, I will shut up for a moment, and let's see if we can hear a great lap with QVR Killer. Turn up your volume. So there we have it, a lap on board with QBR currently P10. Let's see what he can do. It was looking quite good, to be fair, until of course he hit the sausage curves in the middle sector, and I think that really lost him quite a lot of time. Looking through now, it's a very tight grid. Obviously, as you can see, look at that. I mean, there's what, 6 drivers in 26s. Obviously, it's quite tight at the top. 3 drivers within a tenth of each other, and of course, you've got QBR Nathan waiting in the wings as well. And quite a few drivers, I think, had not the best laps, so we definitely could see better times here. Let's have a look now, though. I mean, Montana's just started his next lap, so let's see what he can do in the orange McLaren, of course, who in real life have had a bit of a resurgence. Let's not forget at Silverstone, great race for them. Let's see if Montana and Campbell can reiterate that in real life. It looks like the car's nice and stable going through the end of sector 1, keep it in track limits. Let's see what he can do. Oh, it's looking good for him now. Obviously, he can go through the section now. Oh, and he's up by 2/10. That's looking good. So he looks like he could get pole position once more. Open up the DRS now. A lovely helmet there for NSX Montana as well, as he chucks it through the second half of the lap now. Let's see what he can do going into the second half now. A tight braking zone. Will he be able to flick it in? Yes, he can. Nice touch on that curb as he flicks it into the second section now. Keep it nice and tight to the apexes. Chuck it through into the left-hander here at this really tight twisted chicane. He keeps it just about, but no, he's invalidated. So it would have been a good lap, but obviously the margins are so fine and he has actually invalidated his time. So let's see, as QVR Verstappen, I believe, actually has just gone into 3rd place, which is a good time from him. As Gary as well in pole position, of course, staying in the pits. Looks like he's actually waiting for a final time to do later on in the session. So let's see what else can be done. Riding over here with QVR Campbell. He's actually on a good lap now and he's gone pole position. Pole position 26.3. I have to apologise for Campbell there for not actually being on board with him most of the lap. I was actually riding on board with his teammate. I'm sure he won't forgive me for that one, but a really good lap from QVR Campbell. 26.3. Can anyone beat that? Montana back in the pits as we see Sweet Crown second. Look at that, 300ths of a second. The margins are so fine in this pre-season lobby. So let's see who can get the final lap. Of course, 3 sets of soft tyres for these drivers to use. Some people might want to save a set for the race, which might be what Gary is doing, actually. Obviously, he's in the pits now. He might be waiting just to use 2 sets of tyres, which could save him in the race if they do a late safety car, for example. But at the moment, it's QVR Campbell in P1 from Sweet Crown. And there's a lot of drivers on here, I think, feel they can get pole position. Let's see what Connor can do. Into turn 1, bit of a lock up there I think from Connor as he goes through in the scarlet red Ferrari. Obviously the hardest part of the track arguably would be turn 1 to turn 4. It looks to me, yeah, he's got no ERS, it doesn't look like he's pushing now. He just wants to get back to the pits, doesn't he? Oh, as he almost loses it there, to be fair to him, but he keeps it. As we see Aston Martin Haas back in the pit lane. What about QVR Nathan? He's definitely on a lap now. He's pushing it through now into the first sector. What can he do? He's pushing it through now, and it looks like he's got a good amount of stability within that Mercedes car, something they're actually not got in real life. Let's see what he can do here. It looks like a good first sector. Yeah, he's 2/10 up on his current time, so he could definitely be challenging for pole position. He's purple first sector. He's doing very well here. So, opens the DRS now. What can he do going into the middle sector? Chuck it into this left-hander here now. Can he get it nice and tucked into the curb? Yes, he can. I can feel him going over the curb on my controller there. Looks like he's done it well. Now, let's see what he can do riding on top of these curbs. Obviously, the hardest point of the lap. Can he get it right properly, or will he invalidate? As you can see, it's so hard to do, but it looks like he's done it quite well. Got over that sausage curb perfectly. The car reacted well. And now it's the full throttle section down towards the final part of the lap. He's 700ths up on his time, so it looks like he might not be challenging for pole position as it were at the moment, but he does look like he could get towards the front row. Obviously, he's about 3/10 up on his time so far. Let's go into this final corner now with him. Can he tuck the curb in? Yes, he can. He gets nice and wide, nice bit of traction there. Let's see what he does as he goes over the line. No, he's going into the pits. He's going into the pits, so he mustn't like the time he's been given there. So everyone in the pits now, apart from Ariel Coxey. Is he jumping into the pits? Yes, he is. As we see the last part of the group going out now. NSX Montana starts his final flying lap. What can the Swiss driver do here? Looks like he's having a good first few corners, but obviously let's not forget things can change instantly on this lap. So let's ride on board with him. Go through into these left-handers here, down one gear, doesn't quite hit the curb, maybe that's not what he wants to do. He uses the right-hand side curb to tuck the car in and the left-hand side curb as well. Let's see what his braking's like going into this corner. Yeah, he keeps it nice and tucks the inside early on that throttle as he pushes it through. And now down the windy back straight. It's a purple first sector though for NSX Montana, so he's on track for pole position. If he can keep this up, opens the DRS, keeps it tucked to the left hand side to try and make sure that he can get as early into the next corner as possible. Keeps it nice and wide, fully on the brakes there, chucks it into the left hander, make sure that his car is nice and reactive in there, keeping it nice and tight to the wall, so close, but he makes sure he doesn't hit it into this hardest part. This is where he invalidated his last lap. Will he invalidate this time? No, he doesn't. He's kept it on the track. This is the hardest part now, to make sure he gets a good run out of this corner, but he's done it. Onto the full throttle straight now as we go down towards the final corner. Will he make sure he can get pole position? It's only a matter of time now. Obviously this is where you really start to think in your head, oh my gosh, I might be on chance for pole position here, but can he keep it there? Going into this left-handed corner now, he doesn't hit the apex ever so slightly, but he drives to the line. Qualifying will be over for himself now, no more laps, this is the lap for himself. Will he go across the line and get pole position as we go over now? Yes he does, yes he does, by 6 thousandths of a second. I'm sure he'll be happy from that now. McLaren, Zach Brown and Andreas Seller must be well excited seeing this, considering his two cars on pole position and second place at the moment. But what can QVR Campbell do about this? He's on his outlap currently. QVR Gary as well, he's also on an outlap. And Verstappen too. Let's not forget about him. Two of the fastest drivers in the lobby, and they are in the AlphaTauri in it together. What about Sweet Crown as well though? He's in the pits, but he's coming out now, so he'll get one run at this. Could possibly be the last car out actually to set a lap. So let's see what these cars are doing now. Who is going to be next to finish their lap? It looks like to me it might be one of the Aston Martins. Yes it is, it's Juma I believe is actually, yeah, just going over the line now and actually went to P11, and it's a good time from him. Yeah, not too bad time to be fair. Who's next then? We've got one of the AlphaTauris just starting their lap I believe. Let's have a look here. Yes it is, it's QVR Gary starting his lap now, going into turn 1. Let's see what he can do on this final run in Q3. I mean, it's the only Q really, isn't it? But let's see what he can do if he can get onto that front row, or maybe even take pole position, snatch it from the McLaren team in the AlphaTauri. This is exactly what Daniel Ricciardo will want from when he comes back in a few weeks' time, but I don't know if that'll actually happen. Let's see what he can do going into the twisty S's section, doing your hardest, it really is, to keep it within track limits, but he's done that quite well. As he goes through now, will he be in a purple first sector? No, he's not. He's actually down on his time. He's actually down on his time, but will those tyres have kept their life for the final part of the lap? Of course, people running different setups, he might be quite quicker in sector 2 and sector 3. We don't know until he crosses the line. Let's see now. QVR Gary, he's on the next person to be the closest to go to the line, so let's see now as he tucks it into this tight and twisty Mickey Mouse section, the hardest part of the lap. And let's see now, he tucks it through. Will he be able to get this through without invalidating? Yes he does. It looks to be there quite a lot easier than it would be for NSX Montana. So let's see, look at the traffic ahead of him though. Let's make sure these cars get out of the way. Maybe he gets a seal a bit of a slipstream though, but it looks to me like QVR Gary, as he goes through, not quite up on his time, but you never know, he could have gained time in the final sector with a more straight line speed. Going into the final corner now, he tucks it to that left hand side corner. He looks like he's actually run a bit wide there. Let's see what he can do though. Obviously might get a bit of dirty air and a bit of weight from the cars in front, but he drills it to the line now, opens the DRS. Is he anywhere close to pole position? No, he is not. He is not close to pole position. Now looking at next is QVR Campbell. He's 18 thousandths of a second down on his time, so it looks to me like NSX Montana will be on pole unless he can pull something out of the bag in the final sector. It goes across the line now. No, he cannot do it. He's actually down on his time. Who else can challenge for this? Oh, it doesn't look like it can be Verstappen. He's actually invalidated his lap time, so it won't be him. Who else is on a lap? NSX Connie, he's on a lap as well, 500ths of a second down. But NSX Montana so far on pole position in that McLaren. Let's see what the Scarlet Red Ferrari can do going into the second sector here. NSX Connor, obviously one of the NSX guys, can he flick it through this section? It looks like he's gone over it, but he might have lost the rear a little bit. Yeah, definitely has. Let's see what the second sector split is saying now as he goes through the time. He's 2/10 down. It doesn't look to me like he's going to do much. As Issa Kush, he goes into P4 now, I believe, actually. Yes, he does. A great lap from himself. Amazing lap from him. QVR Gary, obviously, he's down on his time. He managed to go across the line before the time had done. What about Sweet Crown? No, he's not on a lap either. He's down on his time. So let's see what can be done now. NSX Connor going across the line. Can he improve on his time at all? He's 2/10 down currently in that middle sector. Let's see what he can do as he goes across the line. No, he cannot. So it looks to me like NSX Montana in the McLaren back on pole position, and it looks to me like it's going to be a 1-2 for the McLaren team, as Sweet Crown definitely cannot improve there. Is anybody else improving? I don't think there is. So at the end of your qualifying session, the McLaren's pole position, P1, P2, the resurgence for McLaren keeps going on. Great lap from NSX Montana. I'm glad we were able to ride on board with him for it, and it looks like it's going to be a good race. Sweet Crown though, as we can see, Only 0 laps on those tyres, so he only managed to do an outlap. Invalidating went in, of course. You never know, that might make a bit of a difference. But it looks like it's NSX Montana on pole position. QVR Campbell. As we see some of the comments coming through, Montana himself saying he bottled the chicane, could have got a 0.1, 26.1, which would have been a much quicker time, but nevertheless he managed to get that pole position just by 0.06 of a second from QVR Campbell. Now the question is now, of course, what will be the tyre strategies going into the race? We don't know. It could be wet, it could be damp, we don't know. Obviously it's Miami, so it would be very weird if it is, but who knows? Obviously we saw last year in practice sessions there was actually quite a bit of rain, so let's see what people can do here. So that is it. Across the line now, NSX Montana, pole position by 0.05 of a second, followed by QVR Campbell. Sweet Crown with a great lap there to put him only 0.03 of a second down on the two McLaren guys. And then, really for me, one of the standouts from qualifying, Issa Kush in the Alfa Romeo, P4, 1/10 behind QVR Gary. What could have been from him? Obviously, he invalidated his lap, as did QVR Verstappen. The two Alpha Tauris, they'll want to head towards the front. NSX Connor in the Ferrari, the leading Ferrari there in P7. Ariel Jublerim in the Haas, the leading German driver. QVR Nathan, and then P's in the Haas brings out the top 10. So let's see what we can do for the rest of the race. So here we are. Time for the race. Time for the final pre-season race here in the League of Europe, Season 10 on F1 23. I think we can all say we enjoy this game a lot more. It's so much better than F1 22. Let's hope, for our sake, there is some longevity to this. Let's hope the racing is as good as it always has been in League of Europe. And let's hope as well we have some exciting divisions to make sure that we can have some really exciting title fights going into Season 10, 10 seasons of League of Europe. So, just waiting for the players to ready up now, of course. Let's see what tyres there will be on. Obviously, bright sunshine there, so it doesn't look like any rain will be incoming anytime soon. But I am very intrigued to see the tyre selection. As the lights come on now, I'm waiting for the players, so it looks to me like a bit of a problem, but the lights have gone out now, and it looks like a good start from NSX Montana. Let's see what QVR Campbell can do as he goes through now. One of the Ferraris in the background not having the best start, but it looks to me like NSX Montana keeps it ahead of QVR Campbell. Yes, he does. Sweet Crown in P3, keeps it ahead of the Alfa Romeo there. The two Alfa Tauris in the background as well, having a bit of a battle there, as the Ferrari of NSX Connor makes sure to have a battle as well. The two Mercedes and the Haas is side by side. This is something that Gunstein won't be wanting to see as he goes down the inside now. Bit of contact there between them. The Alfa Romeo behind seems to get a bit excited by the thought of getting through on them two, but he keeps it behind now. Two Hasses keeping it nice and ship shape as we go through the end of the first sector, but it looks like NSX Montana has kept it in the lead. Yes, he has. Let's see what detail and positions and cars and what tyres are gone. Everybody seems to be on the medium tyres apart from a few of the back markers, but it looks to me like NSX Montana has got the best start. But let's see what the slipstream effect can do there of QVR Campbell. He seems to be right tucked in behind there, NSX Montana. Maybe he's got better straight line speed. Is there any overtakes going on? Yes, there is. One of the Ferraris goes down the inside of QVR Verstappen. What's going on here? There's side-by-side action. Can he make it all the way around the outside? Bit of contact. Yes, he can just about make it through as the Mercedes behind as well gets through one of the Haas cars as well. And it looks to me like the Ferrari of NSX Connor gets it through. Yes, he does. Let's see who's got the best straight line speed now, but I'm excited to see really who's going on at the front, because QVR Campbell seems to have a lot of straight line speed. Can he use it on the back of NSX Montana? He definitely seems to have more straight line speed. It doesn't seem to be close enough, but when he gets DRS, he'll definitely be interested in the front of his team. There is CBI, one of the Mercedes going down the inside, three wide almost into the final corner, as we see one of the Haas cars as well, QVR Gary trying to get back down the inside of NSX Connor. He definitely does that, gets through there. QVR Verstappen, and now looks like one of the Mercedes as well trying to get back through. And it is QVR Nathan who gets back past NSX Connor, who's had a few bad corners there, but it looks to me like it's settling down now. Some of the drivers trying to get positions in the first few laps, and it looks to me like some of them have. As we go into the second lap of the race, the guys at the back on the hard tyres, they just want a bit of a relaxing start to the race, but looks to me as well, if you look at the back, QVR Dillon not the start he wants. But let's have a look at the front now. QVR Campbell seems to be going a bit wide there. Let's see if NSX Montana can pull away in the system. McLaren, it doesn't look like he can at the moment. I mean, he's sticking within DRS range, of course. We have to wait until the end of lap 2 to get the DRS in action. So let's see what he can do as we go through now to the start of the second section, second lap, and it looks to me like the field is already spreading out. But it looks also like NSX Montana is keeping it where he needs to keep it, and he's keeping in the lead. But let's see now. I mean, he's lost a bit of time there going into the second half of the lap here. I mean, maybe QVR Campbell's got a bit more downforce on that car, because he doesn't seem to be pulling him in too much on the straight. But of course, he is going in slightly. We know the slipstream on this game is very, very OP, as we see the possible race strategies there as well. One stop, probably the best way to go about it. Let's see if there's any action going in behind. The two AlphaTauris tucking in behind now, the Alfa Romeo. Let's see if they can get past. Of course, they want to as quickly as possible. Doesn't seem to be any fighting going on further down the grid, as we see the Red Bull just towards the back of the grid there of NSX Spine trying to get back past through Marty, as NSX Montana pops in the fastest lap of 29.5, of course, at the end of the second lap, as he keeps it nice and wide there. That's a different line that not many drivers seem to be taking, but it seems to be working for NSX Montana, so obviously he's going to want to make sure he keeps doing that. Going through now towards the end of the first few corners, I mean, NSX Montana, what he's going to want to do is, of course, get out of that DRS zone as quickly as possible. I mean, looking at it now, QVR Campbell already used a lot of his ERS. It looks to me like Sweet Crown, who's still within a second of the car ahead, he just wants to make sure he keeps within that DRS zone and use his overtake. As we see now, QVR Campbell use a bit of his overtake. Let's see if he sticks in this DRS. Let's see how much time he gains there riding on board. And it looks to me he's going to gain quite a bit going on to NSX Montana. Will he try and make a move down the inside? I don't think he will. He'll try and make sure to wait for the second half of the lap towards the end of the back straight. It looks to me as well, though, like NSX Montana, he can't quite get out of that slipstream at the moment. He can't quite pull away from the DRS zone, and that's something that's really going to be a struggle for him. But of course, he's making sure he saves more ERS going into this last part of the lap. I'm sure we'll see him use a bit of overtake if he gets too close. QVR Campbell now. DRS will open in a second. We see it open just there for QVR Campbell, down in the heat haze of the McLaren. Is he going to try and overtake him? It doesn't look to me like he's getting close enough. Is there any defending going on from Montana? No, there's not. He just can't quite get alongside. So it looks to me like NSX Montana, as we see the Red Bull in behind as well, looks to me like he has the best straight line speed. But also as well, just going back down the grid, we may have missed it there, but the Alfa Romeo of Itza, of course, has been overtaken now by both of the AlphaTauris, although he's got the slipstream and the DRS now as well, so maybe he's going to use that to his advantage. There might be a bit of contact there between the AlphaTauri and the Alfa Romeo, and that's made sure that QVR Nathan and the Mercedes is now a bit excited to look through and see what he can do from there. One of the hardest traction zones, it must be said, coming out of the turn 2 and 3 left right-hander as we go through into the sweeping S's section, probably the most exciting part of the track, unless you are Charles Leclerc. Look at the Mercedes now, right on the back of Alfa Romeo. Maybe it's, of course, had a great setup for qualifying, as we see the Mercedes trying to set up an overtake now going into the second half of the lap, as he's tucked into the slipstream now, using all the overtake to try and defend here. But QVR Nathan as well, he's using his overtake, not much left. He's got DRS though. Will he be able to go around the outside? It could be done as he goes into the second half of the lap. This would be an incredible move if he can make it stick around the outside, and he tries it. He goes around it. Might be a bit of contact. Yes, there is, but he makes it, sticks it around the outside. Great move in the Mercedes there from QVR Nathan, but he's got no ERS to defend with now on the back straight. Let's hope he can get slipstream for his sake going through. But it looks at the front to have stabilised a little bit now. Let's ride on board and see what the Mercedes can do here. Can he defend from the Alfa Romeo? Yes, he can. He seems to have pulled away instantly. It looks to me like he's trying to go for the overtake instantly already on the AlphaTauri of QVR Verstappen. Yes, he is. Will he have the ERS to do it, though? Yes, he does, as QVR Verstappen doesn't really want to fight this one. Going into lap 5 of the race now as NSX Montana starts. And look at that now, the QVR Campbell and Sweet Crown are sticking with him. They are not being dropped off at all. So it looks to me somebody who would be in a bit of a fortuitous position here would be Sweet Crown with 70% ERS. He's in the pound seat if I was himself. I'd be very excited to see what the rest of this race holds in store, because of course, let's not forget as well, when the McLarens pit, if they do want to pit on the same lap, which I'm sure most people would want to do, they can't do that. So if I was Sweet Crown, I'd bide my time. I'd do exactly what he's doing now, and I'd make sure that he keeps his ERS and he makes sure that he can get past in the pit stop phase. Looking back in the background now, QVR Nathan still got no ERS. This could be easy meat for the AlphaTauri behind, depending on the straight line speed without DRS for QVR Nathan. Excuse me, without ERS for QVR Nathan. But it looks to me like he's got all the straight line speed in the world. Let's see though what QVR Verstappen can do. Can he go down the inside? Will he go down the inside? No, he doesn't. He thinks better of it. Probably thinking more to do it towards the end of this lap. Let's see the cars behind. Not much overtaking on at the moment. The field seems to have split up at the moment. QVR Dylan still down at the back, not really doing much with his race currently, but I'm excited to see more about the front three. They're not pulling away, to be fair. They're not pulling away from the rest of the field. So this is a close fought battle now. NSX Montana, the formidable NSX Montana, it must be said, one of the best races in League of Europe history. He's doing everything he needs to currently, but let's not forget we're only at lap 5, and his teammate and one of the raging Red Bulls are right behind him. What will QVR Campbell do here? Will he try and overtake him into turn 1? Maybe he will. Is there a bit of defence going there? No, he's not. I think he's just biding his time, QVR. To be fair, QVR Campbell in the system McLaren, as it must be said, for Sweet Crown. I mean, look at him, 78% ERS. He knows what he's doing. He's biding his time. He wants these McLarens to pull him along. And then when it comes to the time, he will make sure to put all his pace down in front of everyone and show what he can do as he runs a little bit wide there towards the S's. Of course, quite hard to turn in when you've got, of course, 2 cars in front of you causing that negative wake on the car. Through now, the 2 McLarens ahead of the Red Bull. What about behind the AlphaTauri of QVR Gary? He's out of ERS already. What about this though? QVR Nathan also out of ERS. Let's see what he can do as he goes through. Will he be able to take that overtake? Yes, he does around the outside because the DRS is just so powerful without ERS for both cars. And the Mercedes of QVR Nathan up into P4, and he's going to try now to chase down the leaders of Sweet Crown Montana. Oh, it's actually Campbell goes through. I do apologise for not seeing that, but Campbell goes through at the end of the first DRS straight. Maybe it thinks it's his time. What about NSX Montana though? Can he get back past? Riding on board now, seeing himself. Look at the whites of the eyes of NSX Montana now in that beautiful yellow helmet. He's going to try and get a bit of the DRS now. QVR Campbell, he's got the same amount of ERS. What about Sweet Crown though? He's going to try and overtake the McLaren now going into the final corner. Yes, he is. He gets it down the inside. Looks to me like NSX Montana, either he's biding his time or he just doesn't have the race pace to go ahead of these guys. And also there's a bit of battling behind with the Ferrari and the 2 Haas drivers. There's a bit of contact, I believe, just from there as well, but the Haas drivers do swap places. Let's see now, though, what Sweet Crown and QVR Campbell and NSX Montana do. All this is doing, of course, is making sure that QVR Nathan can get right in the back. And look at the leaders, all separated from P1 to P7 in less than 5 seconds. So it looks to me we're going to have a real race on for the victory here. But it looks also like Sweet Crown has picked his moment now to try and check out from NSX Montana and try and push on and get ahead of QVR Campbell. Let's see what he can do. There's a yellow flag actually, but it seems to me like whatever the incident was, it has been cleared. But going through now, final parts of the first sector into the start of the second sector, and it looks to me like NSX Montana, is he going to try actually and get back past? Doesn't look to me like Sweet Crown is doing much to try and get back past. Get past QVR Campbell, so it looks to me like it's going to be more of a battle for second place currently. Sweet Crown, like I said, really biding his time with 70% ERS. You can see there the Mercedes lurking like a shark in the background as they're waiting for someone to make a mistake at the front to try and capitalise on that. Going through the second sector now, look at the cars waiting behind to try and overtake Sweet Crown Montana and also Campbell as well, who seems to be checking out a little bit more than Montana did at the front, 7 tenths ahead. I don't think he'll have the straight line speed Sweet Crown here to actually be able to overtake Campbell now, but it looks to me like he's definitely got more speed than Montana. Let's see what he can do going into the final corner here. No, it doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like he has the pace. He does not. Just sticking him behind so far, as he has been doing for the first 7 laps of this race. Let's see what else he can do for the rest of this race. Going into turn 1 now. What can the Mercedes do of QVR Nathan as well? I mean, looking at it now, obviously he doesn't have much ERS, but he's sticking behind NSX Montana. What ERS has Montana got? 38%. So he's definitely holding his own here in the McLaren. But to me, at the moment, it looks like QVR Campbell in the system. McLaren just seems to have the pace in him at the moment. And the Red Bull of Sweet Crown, to me, honestly, probably seems to be in the pound seat, got the most ERS. Obviously, in that DRS, I mean, looking now at actually NSX Montana, will he actually try and get a move on here and overtake that of Sweet Crown, because he's right in the slipstream now. Let's see if Sweet Crown uses any overtake. Yes, he does, and you can see here, even with the DRS and the slipstream, it does not look to me like... Oh, as he goes past, I do apologise, he goes past QVR Campbell into the end of the second sector. Obviously, that was a great move from himself, going around the outside of the McLaren driver, and it's always chopping and changing going into the lead here. Let's see what QVR Campbell can do now, of course. Let's not forget, this is a bit of a conservation point of the race. People are just trying to find their place in the race, find what they can do, save the ERS. But it looks to me, will Sweet Crown try and get away now with all the extra ERS he's got? We'll only be able to find out in a second. Is he using any of the overtake? It doesn't look like he is doing, but we can see QVR Campbell now. It looks to me like he's trying to get back down the inside. Will he try and make the overtake? No, he doesn't. He sticks in behind in the McLaren. McLaren versus Red Bull. Red Bull versus McLaren. As we see the Mercedes of QVR Nathan actually get back past NSX Montana there as well. So Montana falling down the field like a stone at the moment. What's he going to be able to do in that McLaren? Is he going to be able to pull himself back through? But it looks to me like Sweet Crown and QVR Campbell want to be in a race of their own, but QVR Nathan isn't having any of it. Two Alpha Tauris as well, fighting back at the front, and then there's a bit of a gap there after the two Alpha Tauris for that of the two Haas drivers, Ariel Pease and Ariel Dubream. It looks to me like they're in a slightly different race, holding up the cars behind. And the cars in front, QVR Verstappen, QVR Gary, NSX Montana, QVR Nathan, QVR Campbell and Sweet Crown 19, all separated by 10 car lengths in the same section of the track together, waiting to fight it out for this victory. What about QVR Campbell? He's going to go back down the inside now. Yes, he is going into this next section. No, he keeps it behind, late on the brakes from Sweet Crown. He keeps it in front. And it looks to me like Sweet Crown wants to keep this lead, but he doesn't want to fight too much for it if that of QVR Campbell or QVR Nathan want to get back through. It looks to me as well, though, like, look at these two Alpha Tauris pushing the McLaren of NSX Montana through now. That's something I want to look out for. But looking now, let's see in the lead, is there going to be an overtake for the lead now? There's a bit of slipstream going through here. QVR Campbell got close to see the two Mercedes as well in behind. He's going to try and defend from the cars in front, but it looks to me, going through now, yes, it might be an overtake. No, it's not. He tucks in behind again. I think he's just making sure he saves some ERS. As you can see, it's going back up for him now as well. But the Red Bull of Sweet Crown goes wide there, makes a bit of a mistake. Does that give QVR Campbell the opportunity to go through down the inside now into turn one? We're right on board for it. Is he going to try and do it? He looks like he's going to try and down the inside. No, he's not. As we see QVR Gary into the pits now. Let's see what he can do as he comes out. I wonder what tyres that'll be. More than likely it'll be the hard tyres for now. So he's going to try and get an undercut on these guys. Let's watch out for that. Undercut is a very big thing on this game. Let's not forget this year. So QVR Campbell still in P2, QVR Nathan in P3 in the Mercedes. Didn't have the best start, of course, but he's gone through now. Run a bit wide there, though, and look at Montana down the inside as well. Is there going to be a bit of contact there? No, there's not. He keeps it down the inside. Nice, fair racing from the both of them. But QVR Nathan's going to be well annoyed at himself with that mistake he's made, but he's going to get back in the slipstream. Yes, he is. He tries to make the overtake work as he goes around the inside, actually now. No ERS, though, for himself. Not the best ERS management from him, but NSX Montana keeps it there for the moment. Will he go back trying down the inside, as we see QVR Campbell as well trying to go back down into the lead, and yes, he does make it through as the Mercedes, look at the cars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all within the shot there, trying to take QVR Campbell's lead back from that he's just taken off of Sweet Crown, but they are all ready to fight it out. Now, one thing I will say, QVR Campbell, of course, in the McLaren, he has the say on strategy. He has the say on what lap he pits, because if NSX Montana pits on the same lap, he will get held in the pits there behind QVR Campbell. So let's see what's happening here. The Mercedes behind as well, but it looks to me like the Red Bull of Sweet Crown trying to go down the inside. Yes, he does. Will Campbell try and get a bit of a switcheroo going on, as Crofty would like to say, going into the final corner? He tries it, can't quite get it done though. But let's see if anybody pits now. It doesn't look like anybody will be at the moment. No, they're staying out, so it looks like quite a big undercut for the Alpha Tauri there of QVR Gary. As like who's in the pits, it's the Haas of RLP. Let's see what he can do. But it looks to me at the moment the leading 5 cars all fighting for this victory, still staying out on these medium tyres. Maybe they're waiting for a safety car, who knows. But it looks to me like if Gary can put in some good laps, as we see in the Alpha Tauri here, let's see what he can do. This will be the first final lap that he puts in. Actually on some medium tyres, actually, I do tell a lie, so it looks to me like he's going to have to do a 2-stop strategy. He's definitely committed to a 2-stop strategy now, at least, considering that there's actually that there. As you see, NSX Connor with the fastest lap of the race, 29.2 on those fresh tyres, those fresh hard tyres that have been on for 3 laps now. So it looks to me, as we see the Mercedes of Nathan, he's going to go trying down the inside of QVR Campbell. He's got it through, but he's got no ERS to defend with. He must have a rocket ship in a straight line with the setup that he's got, because he's down the inside now of QVR Campbell. He takes that second position, and he's now on the warpath to try and get Sweet Crown for that race lead. But look at the difference, 73% ERS, 10% ERS for Nathan, 62 for Campbell, and 52 for Montana, with 33 in behind for QVR Verstappen. So Nathan might be pushing for the front, but he's just not got the ERS to fight at the moment. He needs to stick in the slipstream now of Sweet Crown, but let's see what he's going to do. He's going to try and go for the race lead tucks in the slipstream, but yes, he is. He must have a rocket ship in that straight line, and into the lead, the Mercedes of QVR Nathan goes through into the final corner. Let's see what Sweet Crown can do now, though. Looks to me if he uses any ERS and gets in that DRS, he'll be over and ahead of him quicker than you might expect. Let's see the two McLarens in the background now, a bit closer than you might expect as well. Looks like somebody in the pits. Yes, it's Ariel Dubream in the pits as well. They're into Sector 1 now. Let's see what the two McLaren drivers can do. Can they get back in front of the Red Bull and the all-conquering Mercedes-Benz into the first sector? I mean, look at QVR Nathan now. He's pulling a bit of a gap. He's got no ERS, but he's pulling a bit of a gap. So maybe he's got a bit of pace that he's not telling anyone about. Imagine if he had ERS, he'd be flying now. But QVR Nathan doing an incredible job at the moment in that Mercedes. He's doing his best as well to get out of that slipstream. You can see behind us there. Let's see what the other drivers are doing. There's a bit of a slipstream fest going on now, making sure people use the ERS. Is there a bit of a dive from QVR Campbell? No, there isn't at the moment. But even with that DRS from Sweet Crown, he can't get back past the Mercedes. To the end of the second sector. What can this Red Bull do? Bit of a lock-up there from the Mercedes on the outside. That's a bit rare, to be fair. You don't really see many lock-ups on the outside, especially going into an off-camber corner like that. But let's see now. I want to ride on board and see how much Sweet Crown really pulls in that Mercedes due to the fact that he's got no ERS, of course. Let's see what the DRS can do here. He's not using any of his ERS. He's still saving at the moment, but as you can see, he's pulling him in like it's nothing. So Sweet Crown, he's playing the long game. He knows it's all going to come down to the last 5 laps or so. Let's see if any of these drivers do pit at the end of this lap. Still looks to me like nobody is doing, so they're pulling in. They're definitely going into a one-stop. As we see, QVR Verstappen into the pit lane now, though. One thing I want to see now, what he can do coming out of the pits. Will his teammate have overtaken him? He must do, surely, in the sister AlphaTauri. Let's see what tyres QVR Verstappen puts on, though. It looks to me like it's going to be hard tyres. No, it's actually another set of medium tyres. So it looks to me like the AlphaTauris are definitely setting for a 2-stop strategy. Let's see if Gary's gone through. Yes, he has. Look at that undercut from QVR Gary. He's already at the end of corner 2 and corner 3. And it looks to me like Verstappen has lost quite a lot in the pits there. But we'll see what happens when the leaders pit now, because they're going to go into a one-stop strategy. But looking at this now, QVR Nathan just so mighty in the first sector. Look at him pulling that gap to the cars behind. It's in the second sector when he's got no ERS where he really pulls it. But let's see what anyone else can do here as well, though. Looking at this, QVR Campbell, as Montana's really just kind of sticking in behind, waiting in the wings now to see if there's any mistakes made from the guys in front. It's the McLaren driver of QVR Campbell that's really sticking in behind that Red Bull and making sure he is wide in the eyes there of Sweet Crown 19. Let's see, as he chucks it over the curve there, you see the Red Bull catch a little bit of air. Into the long back straight now. What can Sweet Crown do? Let's ride on board with QVR Nathan now, see if he gets pulled in. I mean, of course, he's going to lose a bit in the slipstream. Look at that, he's just got no straight line speed now because he's got no ERS. Sweet Crown, though, he's not really using any of his ERS. He's got 82% and he doesn't want to use it at all. He wants to stick in behind the top 4 now. Really focus on the long game. Is anybody going to jump into the pits this lap? It doesn't seem to be. Is it Montana who jumps in? No, they're still sucking it in behind. Another lap goes by. Let's see what happens in turn 1 here. Will the Mercedes be able to keep ahead of the Red Bull? Yes, it does for the time being. Can't quite get alongside as it goes through the first corner, the tight twisty section coming up the left, the right, into the first part, and now the second part of the first sector. The nice twisting left, right-handed corners that if you're the car behind, quite hard to follow through, which is probably why QVR Nathan, with a bit more downforce on his setup in that Mercedes, is really making sure he can keep ahead of these guys in the first sector. Really gets a good exit out of that. Look at that now, great exit from himself. And one thing I'm really looking forward to seeing now is, look at this, QVR Campbell really try and get a move on that Sweet Crown. I mean, Sweet Crown, he doesn't use any ERS. It doesn't look like he is doing this. June actually the tyres in the pits, which we do appreciate them doing. As he goes through into that final section of this straight now, will he make a move? No, he doesn't. He tucks it in behind. Bit of a lock up there, though, and it runs a little bit wide in that Red Bull. Will that make QVR Campbell ever so more present in his rear view mirrors? It looks to me like he's basically pushing the Red Bull along, going into this tight, twisty Mickey Mouse section. I can see how much Montana is closing on these guys as the fighting goes through and as the Red Bull makes more mistakes. Let's see what happens now on this back straight. Will Sweet Crown get the overtake done on QVR Nathan? Doesn't look to me like he's going to try it again. Will the McLaren drivers get anywhere on this? Doesn't look to me like they will do at the moment either. But these top 4 fighting out for first place, fighting out for the victory. And it looks to me like they really want to fight this through. QVR Gary, though, 10 seconds behind in that AlphaTauri. As we see, one of the McLaren's going to pit lane. I believe it's NSX Montana. Yes, it is. Let's see what pit stop time he gets. as we go through now. June back in the session, maybe he had a bit of a network problem there. But let's see the time for NSX Montana. Is it a good pit stop from the McLaren boys? Going straight onto the hard tyres now. Yes, a great stop from them now as we go out the pits. As you can see, QVR Gary is really far ahead now. He's going to try and make sure a bit of an alternate strategy here that he can get a big gap going ahead in the AlphaTauri and see if he can get another set of tyres on and push it onto the end. Let's see what QVR Staffen's saying. Yes, he's gone out ahead on those medium tyres as NSX Montana comes out now just ahead that of Rocco Reggie for real in the Alfa Romeo, who's got 2 laps on those hard tyres. So NSX Montana nearly got undercut by Rocco as well. It just shows how big the undercut is. So that's one thing I will say is we see Sweet Crown actually gets back over in front of QVR Nathan. One thing we didn't quite see, but it looks to me like QVR Nathan, who, let's not forget, has got no ERS. He's just got nothing to defend with now. As we see one of the Haas cars actually get ahead of the Williams of ET8 Mohammed. Both of them are no ERS as well. Let's see what happens on this back straight though. We know QVR Nathan likes to overtake. We know he likes to be in first position. Will he try and overtake, or will he just use... Yes, he's using all his overtake. He wants to have that first position back. What about QVR Campbell though? He's going to be waiting in the wings as well. The Mercedes driver though, as we see, 3-second time penalty there for Mohammed. But it looks to me like Sweet Crown was initially thinking of defending, but he's not done it now. Will he try and go down the inside of the Mercedes? No, he doesn't quite do that. He tucks it back behind the Red Bull. Who's going to go into the pit lane now? Is anybody going to try and fend off that undercut? Yes, it is. It's the Red Bull. The Red Bull of Sweet Crown in the pits. Campbell and Nathan go ahead another lap though. So let's see what Sweet Crown can do here as he goes into the pit lane onto the hard tyres. It's going to be so close between NSX Montana and Sweet Crown. Look, surely NSX Montana though must, as he gets past a few guys there. I mean, look at Rocco though. He's really on the back of Montana. Will he actually be able to get it ahead? Yes, it looks like he is doing, as we see NSX Montana as the Williams goes off actually. NSX Montana though, Sweet Crown almost side by side. No, not quite. Yes, it is, as we see NSX Montana and Sweet Crown around the outside. Montana goes and he just about gets the move done side by side going into the first sector, but he gets the move done around the outside in the McLaren just as they go through the end of sector 1. And now we have one of the Williams in front of them as well of Mohammed. That's a car that Montana's not going to want in front of him, because we know with the ERS that Sweet Crown has, he's going to want to make sure he uses all of it now. But the Williams seems to be getting out of the way already from NSX Montana. Let's see if he can get out of the way now of Sweet Crown. Yes, it is. It looks to me like he's not fighting it at all. Fair play. But let's see Sweet Crown now. Is he going to try and make a move down the inside going into the end of this straight? No, he doesn't. Tucks in behind in that McLaren. And he's going to do everything he can now to try and get back past NSX Montana, I'm sure. But he'll be playing the long game, of course. Let's see if QVR Nathan and QVR Campbell come into the pits at the end of this lap as well. Let's go back to the leaders. Let's see what they do as Itzakush gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. QVR Nathan now is back past into the lead. Let's see what they do. Are they going to come into the pit lane? No, another lap goes by and the leaders are not pitting. So they're really wanting to go for the undercut. Maybe they're going for soft tyres. It could be possible going for the soft tyres. But one thing that interests me, of course, is QVR Gary and QVR Verstappen. If they can go through QVR Gary, not any ERS to use, but as we see, Sweet Crown actually almost gets overtaken by NSX Spine as he goes into the pits. And NSX Montana and Sweet Crown nose to tail the McLaren and the Red Bull. We don't see much of fighting between McLaren and Red Bulls much in real life. Let's hope we see more of it in the future. To me, it looks like NSX Montana and Sweet Crown are going to have a massive undercut on the guys in front. But of course, the guys in front, QVR Nathan, QVR Campbell, will have much fresher tyres. As everybody watching now, 15 people, thank you so much for jumping on the stream. Please tell me who you guys think is going to be the winner in the comment section down below, and I'll make sure to go through those and see what you guys think as we see the two leaders fighting as well. I mean, to me, it looks like there's going to be wasting more time fighting at the front. Looking at Nathan now, if I was himself, I'd be tucking in behind QVR Campbell and trying to get as much ERS to save as possible, but he's not quite doing it. QVR Verstappen as well, on the 4-lap old mediums, he's getting stuck behind now Ariel Pease in that Haas, who I believe got a bit of an undercut on himself there as he goes through now. Will he try and get an overtake on that Haas going into the final corner? Another thing I want to see as well is if any of the QVR boys do jump into the pit lane in the Mercedes and in the McLaren. We know NSX Montana and Sweet Crown are going towards the end of the race now on these hard tyres. Let's see, as we see QVR Verstappen, like I say, go back through ahead of the Haas now. He looks like he can put some good times through. As we see Sweet Crown, he's actually ahead now of Montana, so we already did it before the end of that corner, and it looks to me like he's ahead of that McLaren for the foreseeable as he gets a bit of a better exit now. Will he try and get ahead of the Haas? Doesn't seem like he can do it into turn 1 as Sweet Crown, fastest lap of the race on the hard tyres. It looks to me like QVR Nathan and QVR Campbell must be going for those soft tyres towards the end of the race to try and put a bit of a fight on board now for Sweet Crown and for Montana. But let's not forget as well, QVR Gary and QVR Verstappen, both that two-stop strategy there. They're only 7 seconds behind the leaders now. If they get a set of soft tyre boots on at the end of the race, they could be right there as well, trying to fight it out for the victory. As we see, Sweet Crown and Montana really pushing themselves now, trying to get back through. We see the Haas driver, no ERS of Joel Breen, and he tucks it to the right hand side. Looks to me like it's going to be an easy pass for Sweet Crown in the McLaren. Yes it is, in the Red Bull. Yes it is around the outside, down the inside of the Haas. But let's see what the McLaren can do of NSX Montana. He's going to want to get rid of him too quickly, and yes he does, just down the inside. It's QVR Nathan, 3-second time penalty. That could be massive. It must have been going over the curbs, but it's a 3-second time penalty for the race leader currently, and that could be massive for his race. Will he try and pit this lap? As June gets another 3-second time penalty in the Aston Martin towards the back of the field. But it looks to me like the big fight at the moment, really, as we see Spine and Coxey. Are they making a bit of a fight of it as well? Yes, they are, in the Mercedes and the Red Bull. Oh, as the Mercedes gets a bit sideways there, as NSX Connor as well gets a time penalty in the Ferrari. But it looks to me like NSX Nathan and Campbell will be coming to the pits anytime soon. No, they're quite not at the moment. Maybe they're waiting for a safety car, who knows? But it looks to me like they're waiting to get them soft-tyred boots on and try and make a real push towards the end of the race. Let's see what Sweet Crown and Montana can do, though. It looks to me like at the moment Sweet Crown's in the box seat to take the victory in this race, although he's used a lot of his ERS now to try and get back past the guys in the midfield. I mean, let's not forget, we've got RELPs, QVR Verstappen and Gary as well. I mean, all three of them need to pit again, so we'll see them in the pit soon. But for the moment, RELPs, he's realised we've got a yellow flag in sector 1. It looks to me like It's a Kush has crashed out of the race. Will that be a safety car? If it is a safety car, it looks to me like it's going to be a real helpful point for the race leaders, but it doesn't look like it is being. No, I don't think there's going to be a safety car. No, there's not. Going into the end of the second section now with QVR Nathan and QVR Campbell, and it looks to me like It's a Kush, who was on for a decent result to be fair, crashed out of the exit of, I believe it was turn 2 and turn 3. It's quite easy to do, of course, on the curbs to spin the car around. Let's see what Sweet Crown can do. Can he get past QVR Verstappen? He's got back past now RELPs, but look at Montana being held up by the Haas driver. He's going to want to get through as quickly as possible, or he'll see Sweet Crown and his chance of winning this Grand Prix go out of the distance. Looking now though, let's see what he does. NSX Montana, let's ride on board now with RELPs and see if he can keep him behind. I mean, he's not got any ERS to defend with. Will he try and defend the position? I don't think he will. Yes, he does. He tries to defend that position, the Haas. As Montana tries to go around the outside, will he try and make it through? As it's late on the brakes, the Haas almost goes into the Red Bull, but he keeps it through, and NSX Montana will be seething in that McLaren. He can't quite get through the Haas, as Montana actually doesn't actually have the ERS to defend. As we actually see QVR Nathan in the pits now. Yes, we know. I'll just see NSX Montana, quite a lot moving under braking there. Can he try around the outside? Yes, we know QVR Nathan's in the pits, and he's going to come out obviously behind these guys. We'll see where he comes out in a moment. Obviously, as we see a bit of side action there from the Haas, he almost loses it in front of that of Montana, and Montana will be absolutely raging in that car. He's seeing the race victory, Sweet Crown, go out ahead of him, and QVR Nathan, who comes out in P8 just ahead of Gary there as he comes into the pits as well. They're going to be on the warpath as well to try and trace down these guys. QVR Dylan gets a 5-second time penalty speeding in the pit lane. Is he going to try and stay ahead now in that Haas? Because of course we can see now NSX Montana, he's not got any ERS to use either. Round the outside though with that DRS, it looks to me like he's going to get that position done, because it's looking very brilliant through there. As we see QVR Maverick in the comment section loving the action from the QVR guys, and I think we all are doing at the moment as well. As we see two QVR guys leading the race at the moment, of course, with both of them do need to pit again though, but it looks to me like Sweet Crown in the Red Bull in the forefront of this picture, and it looks to me like he's going to have the best chance to lead this race at the moment and take the victory, because NSX Montana lost a lot of time there, but he's still in the DRS of Sweet Crown. Sweet Crown with a tiny bit more ERS, but both of them quite stabilised in the race at the moment. One thing I will look out for, QVR Nathan, yes, he's got a time penalty. QVR Gary as well on the soft tyres. They're going to be wanting to see what they can do. Let's see what QVR Campbell can do as well, as it gets a bit back to status quo at the front, as we see Sweet Crown surely back in the lead at the moment as well, as he's coming up to the back now of QVR Verstappen. But let's see QVR Campbell onto the soft tyres, out in the McLaren, the beautiful orange McLaren, who we saw in a chrome livery, of course, which I'm quite satisfied we didn't get that on the game, but hopefully we'll get it in the future. But out of the pit lane now, will he be ahead of QVR Nathan? No, he won't. He's already ahead, and look at the power of the undercut there in the McLaren. Undercut is massive on F123, but now I want to see what the pace is from these guys. QVR Nathan towards the end of the first sector, Rocco Reggiafiore being pulled in all the time. Look at the amount of speed he's being pulled in with, and it looks to me like he's going to be able to get through instantly. I see some more comment sections coming in as well. Ariel bums. It doesn't look like we've got a lot of Ariel fans going in the comment section, but it looks to me like QVR Nathan around the outside of Rocco Reggie for real in that Alfa Romeo, and he's going to make sure on them soft tyres. Of course, he's got a 3-second time penalty, but look how close he is already to that of NSX Montana, who's now stuck behind QVR Verstappen. JDN saying roadblock Rocco. Rocco doing a brilliant job to get some TV time for the Alfa Romeo guys there. In a beautiful looking car, it must be said. But to me, one thing that's going to be crucial in this race, I'm sure you guys will agree, is that of QVR Nathan. He's had no ERS the entire race, and that's made it so much harder for him. I think it's going to be quite a tough one. I really do think it's going to be him. As JDM once again, Oxide wants me to shut my mouth and join the team. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm always open to conversations, but I don't think I'll be much help in the team, so I'm not quick anymore. But I'll definitely help out in any way I can. As we go through to Tier 1 now, Ariel Dubream in the Haas. A great looking Haas car, I must admit as well. As QVR Gary sets the fastest lap of the race, as Sweet Crown now in the lead as well. But look at how quickly that Mercedes gets touching the close at the back of that Ariel Dubream in that Haas. He looks like he's going around the outside. Yeah, Dubream, to be fair to me, doesn't fight too much about that. I think he understands he's in a different race. QVR Nathan now been set free 5 seconds behind NSX Montana, of course. Let's not forget though, he does have a 3-second time penalty to contest with, as NSX Montana right in the back, and the slipstream now of QVR Nathan as he's going to try and go down the inside. But looking at now, QVR Nathan, he's on a warpath, 4.8 seconds behind now, going into the start of the second section of the lap. He'll be really annoyed at himself for getting that 3-second time penalty, but all he can do now is drive as quickly as possible and try and get as close as possible with these guys, as QVR Verstappen still behind Sweet Crown, of course, but QVR Verstappen does need to pit again. He's only used medium tyres so far. NSX Montana right behind him as well, so I'm sure we'll see at some point as QVR Campbell 3-second time penalty. That's something else that's going to be massive for this race. QVR Campbell on the soft tyres, obviously he left it late to pit, he's lost a lot of time, and now he's got a 3-second time penalty. Will that be the end of his chances for the victory? QVR Nathan, he's the person to look at in my eyes, a second taken out of NSX Montana in the last lap alone, so he's going to be right on the back as QVR Verstappen into the pit lane, like we said, needs to have another set of tyres. We'll put in, of course, another set of soft tyres on, I'm sure. Looks to me like the two-stop strategy hasn't quite worked. Worth trying, of course, in the pre-season races. That's QVR Campbell with the fastest lap of the race, but with that 3-second time penalty, it's going to be very hard for him to actually get that race victory. Ariel Pease with a 28.9 fastest lap of the race in the Haas F1 car as well, but Sweet Crown checking out at the front. He's just out of DRS there for NSX Montana. One thing he's going to want to happen, he's going to make sure he keeps NSX Montana out of the DRS, as NSX Connor on the medium tyres gets the fastest lap of the race as well, but he's going to want to make sure that QVR Nathan and NSX Montana fight a lot, because if so, that means that of course he'll be able to check out at the front with 6 laps to go after this one, and it's going to be a tight race at the front. I mean, the gap's always coming down. I mean, it might be quite a tight race for the on-track victory, but it looks to me, unless Nathan can put in some incredible laps to get 3 seconds ahead of the guys in front, it looks to me like Sweet Crown is in the pound seat at the moment to take this victory in the final pre-season race here in League of Europe.